This is a really tricky topic. I think sort of this idea of self-regulating or becoming your own guru and not always looking outside of yourself for advice, especially when it comes to your diet. That is a very tricky area. So here's a cool little technique that someone told me about that will help you become your own personal health guru. They said, don't look at it as you're trying to cut out bad habits in your life, because we as human beings, we tend to rebel when we're told not to do something or to avoid something, avoid sugar and don't eat this and don't do that. They said rather keep adding in good habits until they end up squeezing out the bad habits. And I thought that's a really, really interesting way of reframing your attitude towards, again, enhancing your overall wellness and wholeness. So for instance, if you're trying to cut sugar out or you're trying to cut out, a bit of coffee in the morning, start having fresh green juices in the morning. Start actually having, some hot water with lemon. Find something that still sort of appeals to you, but will enhance your overall vitality, because it's going to actually have an impact in your life, in your health, in your energy, in your attitude. And your body's going to love it. It's going to crave more naturally, and it's going to very automatically stop craving the stuff that isn't serving your body. Ultimately, that's where you want to get. And that's, to an extent, I have, because of my health challenges, because of having been diagnosed with cancer, I had no choice but to pay a lot of attention to what was going in my body. And part of my healing, or my healing beyond the body, like I call it, was really paying attention to nutrition and diet. It makes complete sort of common sense if you think about it. But I myself didn't realize until I started paying attention as to what such a huge impact our diet has on our overall health. Like, for instance, I didn't realize that every 7 years, pretty much every single cell in your body is regenerated, like it's brand new. Which is very encouraging, because that means, you have the capacity to heal, to change your form, to change your health, So all of that is within your hands. If you think about it, it's a tremendously empowering thought. But it isn't easy. Somehow we get really stuck, especially when it comes to diet and our diet choices and things like that. So a lot of our choices when it comes to what we put in our body, I think is connected to our emotional state. And we all know, we all get into these sort of places that, like, when you're feeling down and out, we tend to eat. Like, I know I do that. However, having said that, I'm forced to make really, really smart choices about what I put in my body. After I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, going to a place called the Hippocrates Health Institute to learn a little bit about reversing disease using nutrition. Of course, since spending 3 weeks there, I've also done a lot of my own personal research and also met a lot of alternative, or let's say not alternative, complementary therapists, whether they're naturopaths or Ayurvedic doctors, and Ayurveda being sort of the ancient Indian approach towards medicine. Seeking out also acupuncturists, all kinds of other complementary fields of healing. You have to take responsibility for your healing and your health and what you put in your body. When you're more aware of your body, you can actually experience how that food reacts in your body. And really, that's what I mean by becoming your own personal guru. Once you've eaten something, if you're really, really honest and you tune in, you can feel the impact that it has on your body immediately. Like, your body talks to you. There's a constant dialogue. And the point is that you actually have to just sort of pick up the phone and answer and have a dialogue with your body back, and your body's then going to respect you more. And I've become so conscious of this after having gone through cancer. I always tune into my body. Like, for instance, I went raw and vegan for a year, and that was a really, really important part of my healing. And I'm still someone who subscribes to fresh vegetable juices. For me, that's medicine. I have also tuned into my body, and I've realized that, my body actually wants some animal protein now. Again, that's the problem with going to an expert, is they don't know you as well as you know yourself. And you should make it your business to know yourself. So giving up sugar became really essential to my healing, because sugar feeds cancer. And anyway, sugar isn't good for anyone, but particularly for someone who is living with cancer. And that was a really, really tough one one for me. I'm glad I had actually my husband coaching me through it, because I actually gave up having sugary desserts. That wasn't so difficult, and I always avoided pop for many years of my life. The one thing I couldn't give up was sugar in my tea and my coffee, because it takes probably, I've heard, about 3 weeks to change a habit. So if the first week might be a bit rough, it might be about actually having to control yourself. It's an application of willpower, right? The magical thing is that at the end of 3 weeks, my palate had completely changed. And first of all, I didn't crave the sugar. And second of all, if I accidentally had sugar in something, my palate would rebel. Like my taste buds would say, ooh, no, that's too sugary. It doesn't taste right. So what I'm trying to say is that this is all habitual, and it was actually a process of mind over matter, as opposed to, also just trying to control our taste buds, and I think that that's a really, really important thing in becoming your own personal guru and becoming your own personal healer, because we all have the capacity to heal ourselves. Only we know what is actually good for our body. But in order to do that, you have to understand your body, you have to tune in, and you have to sometimes do a little bit of mind training. You have to understand that our minds can be really, really tricky, and understand exactly what your habits are, and be really, really realistic about that as well.